It's another week in the For Your Reference household, and it is another volume of the Umbrella Academy, the Sparrow Academy. This is quite a popular episode of the podcast, OT. So for those friends and lovers that have watched Umbrella Academy and are not aware, we do have an episode covering seasons 1, seasons 2, but I'm sure the Space Boy feels will follow us today. Let's get on with the show. Friends and old man tattoo lovers, welcome back to the For Your Reference podcast. You got your host Katie
and Oti.
Behold the resurrection of ethical triage, confusing hadrons, and bulging testosterone twins. Initiate the dance sequence with Umbrella Academy season 3 this week. Ooh, is that just a pogo in your pants, or are you just excited to hear me, OT? Friends and lovers, again, I would prompt you to go and check out the season 1, season 2 review that we did of the show. We went in depth of all of the powers that the original 7 had. I'm not talking about the boys, but watch out for our boys episode. It is spicy. It is muy caliente. And if you've watched Herogasm, it's exactly what I want to do to Laz Alonso if you're nasty. Again, creator Gerard Way in regards to the comic, Steve Blackman, Jeremy Slater, released in June of 2022. And I guess it's one of the last sort of bastions for Netflix, right? Stranger Things aside. In way of cast, we have Elliot Page, Tom Hopper, David Castaneda, Emmy Raver-Lampman, Robert Sheehan, Aidan Gallagher, and Justin H. Min. Well, OT. We enjoyed, the first season of Umbrella Academy. Season 2 was what we thought the show was going to be. So obviously there was a decline in splooshes and quality in the For Your Reference household. And I'm glad enough time had passed for us to venture into season 3. So give us your first impressions. And I guess we say spoiler, 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 daddy resurrection, daddy resurrection, daddy resurrection.
I was trepidatious. I was scared going into this season just because of how season 2 knocked me off my knockers. I wasn't sure
Knocked you off your knockers?
Yeah. I wasn't sure whether or not I'm going to enjoy it as much. And just because Netflix has this habit of, I didn't expect it to be anything worthwhile, to be honest. So when I got in, and boy, oh boy, was I glad that I was surprised.
Yeah.
It just started with the same energy as season 1.
Yep.
And it maintained it throughout. And I was there for it. I love this season so much.
You know what's really interesting, because I'm pretty sure in the space-time continuum we were watching The Boys, but we've also bolstered comic book frivolity with Doom Patrol, with Peacemaker. It's kind of hard to find where Umbrella Academy fits, to be perfectly honest. It feels risky preteen, but there's obviously some very, very heavy themes that go on in this show, Allison notwithstanding, that will definitely come to. But tonally, I'm a bit confused over where this sits.
It's sort of like what? Doom Patrol Light, isn't it?
Light is the key word, I suppose, there. Because it never really goes all the way in salacious frivolity, but it definitely has its moments where you're like, if you're a preteen, this probably isn't for you. Me. I enjoyed, I would say, the first half of season 3. Actually, no, I enjoyed it throughout. It was just the last episode and a half of episode 9 that was a bit meandering for me. Yeah. And, I keep promising we're going to read more than the first volume of The Boys, because that's all we fucking reference when we talk about The Boys. But we haven't read the comics for Umbrella Academy.
Comic book wanker.
Join us, friends and lovers, in the biblioteca. Let's do a quick sound off before we start talking about the characters. I very much enjoyed Klaus in the first 2 seasons. And I obviously love Klaus all the way throughout. Who would you say is your favorite character?
It's got to be Klaus. No one comes close. Who else?
I feel like you were really waving the banner for Allison in the first 2 seasons, though.
Oh, just because I thought she was misunderstood and you were coming really heavy for her. So it was
deservedly so, it seems. Maybe I'm part of the 7. Maybe I was born on the same day as the rest of those motherfuckers.
Wow. But I felt it was my bit to protect her. So, you know what? This season, she's on her own.
She's on her own. Okay, well, we're going to talk about all of the characters. Who would you say is your favorite in the Sparrow Academy? Because we haven't obviously talked about the Sparrow Academy until this review episode. But who would you say is your favorite?
Sloane.
Oh. Well, you are the simp space boy, so that makes sense.
Wow.
Alfonso is my favorite.
All right.
Okay. We're not doing a battle royale just yet. There's a couple of things I want to talk about before we get into characters, OT. The first is the through line for this particular season. OT, many times I always talk about how I have trans tax and I wouldn't be a writer because all of my characters would be trans and they would never die and they would have no trauma at all. But I do want to give love and plaudits to the team and the production in the way that they handled the Victor storyline. And OT stopped checking because every time Victor showed up on the screen, I was blubbering.
You are?
Yes, true. But I do love the way that the storyline was introduced and the way that it continued Victor's character arc specifically. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll get to the moment on how they handled the sort of reveal later on. But yeah, it was cool. It was sweet that it was done that way. And
like if Diego can be cool and not make a big deal out of it, my heart melted and I felt great. But what I wanted to talk about was, season 1 and season 2 featured very heavily on Victor's decisions and essentially resetting the whole multiverse timeline, right? And it kind of got annoying because we felt the remix in season 2. Like it was all in like broad strokes. It was essentially the same storyline. They ended up at the same destination twice.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Absolutely. I don't think we'll ever be able to rewatch Heroes. It was a moment in time, right?
Yeah, that moment passed me.
So how did you feel? So in season 3, we're actually embarking on a different, broader storyline, which I thought was a bit more interesting. And it was the whisperings of Oblivion. There was also 5 saying, don't try and save the world. Essentially, we were getting to a point, and they also talked about the grandfather paradox as well. So how did you feel about that overall sort of storyline pushing through into season 3?
Oh, definitely enjoyed it. Based off the fact that season 2 was so disappointing, I didn't enjoy let's go back in time and stop the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that plot.
Yeah.
But when it came to this, we had Oblivion. What the fuck is Oblivion? 5, don't save the world. What the hell? What do you mean?
Yeah.
There's a Cougar Blitz about to eat everything whole.
Yeah.
But I was so intrigued by every sort of plot point with this. And then we get to see Klaus's journey in a deeper level, and that's something that we got his sort of stint in him joining a cult and being a cult leader and all that.
The lovable Jared Leto, yes.
Yeah, but
the acceptable Morbius.
With this, we dig deeper, and I appreciated that because so many times Klaus is just like a written off character. Whatever he says doesn't hold weight. Even no one in his family takes him seriously. He would say there's a Cougar Blitz in the basement, but people would be like, eh.
Well, he said it to Diego's. It's believable that wasn't further than any way because again, he only told Diego.
No, I think it's just because it's Klaus. That was more the point.
I think it's both the point. It was both that it was Klaus and also that Diego was the one receiving that particular message. But I absolutely agree with you. I really enjoyed the Coogan Blitz of it all. But I have a question. The grandfather paradox, far be it from me to try and re-engineer your Sorkin metaphors. That's a 30 Rock reference, by the way. How shouldn't it have been something a bit more like less obvious? Because if you kill your grandfather, you no longer exist. That's pretty straightforward, right? Or was that used as like a device, but not strictly just about a grandfather, like a family line? That's what I was a bit confused about.
No, I think it just means that so he killed, in the story was, he traveled back in time and killed the grandfather at the wrong point. Yes, you could still kill the granddad, but it's after a certain action had happened to secure his lineage. Before that, then your father doesn't shack up with your mom, all that doesn't happen. So wrong single point in time and just erased everything and creates a different sort of split, creates an alternate timeline of sorts.
While we're talking about it, was it called the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt, but more importantly, Betty Gilpin? They had a very interesting way of explaining like time traveling back and forth. And I thought that was quite effective. Again, I don't care about Chris Pratt in any other instance.
More than time is non-linear. Get out of town.
It still burns us to this day, friends and lovers. We're not going to spoil it by telling you what that reference is, but you'll know. You'll absolutely know. I guess when you put it that way, it does make sense. But again, friends and lovers, I'm more concerned with the feelings as opposed to the mechanisms of storytelling.
Since when?
Since now.
No, because I bring my feels all the time and you're like, yeah, nah, bro.
Feels is different to black tax. I think that's what you're talking about.
It's one and the same thing.
Friends and lovers, go and listen to our Air Force One episode. OT sings Nelly's Air Force One in like 2 minutes of the episode. So that should give you all the indications of black tax.
Oh, jeez.
I'm surprised you're not talking about Allison, but also it makes sense why you're not talking about Allison.
Yeah, we'll get to her. She's a very interesting character.
Do you want to go in numerical order, or do you want to talk about which Umbrella Academy we like from best to worst?
Best to worst.
Well, we're talking about Klaus then, right?
Yeah.
You know what? When we first started watching season 3 again, I forgot why I loved Klaus so much, and I also forgot what his powers was, because I guess I got it confused with Ben, but the fact, like, the apparition, the materializing of Ben was via Klaus's powers. And Ben's just got that hentai shit going on. So I really, really, really am enjoying Klaus's character arc. I think it's quite great. And I think generally, by meeting the Sparrow Academy, it was made quite clear that these motherfuckers can't fight. Like they were cut at the kneecaps. Their growth was hindered. And we can talk about Reggie, Archer reference. Go and listen to our Archer episode. We can talk about Sir Reginald Hargreaves. Like, he was giving them tough love, but he also wasn't giving them fruitful sort of lessons. So they weren't necessarily being nurtured to, be able to get that XP and be able to level up, because the Sparrow Academy absolutely got that. And what I really enjoyed about season 3 is, okay, we've acknowledged that the team isn't as strong as they could be, because really it was just Victor that was the strongest out of all of them. Allison was kind of whispering here and there. Space Boy was shaking his fist at the moon. Like, there wasn't a lot of like guttural sort of strength out of the 7. And what I really loved about season 3 is that it actually explored untapping that potential. And Klaus's embodiment of that, absolutely.
Oh, for sure. And I think him going on a journey to try and figure out what happened to his mom, and taking 5 along, I think that was a cool bonding moment for this two. And to see him being vulnerable, and we don't get that with Klaus usually. Everything feels so, just slides off him, but it doesn't. He still has feels, and
he was trapped in a mausoleum.
And we get to see him be more vulnerable which is something we love to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to make the fact that he gets sort of this faux pas bonding moment with Sir Reginald is the cream of the cake, because it is a different Reginald. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's always wanted that attention, and to get it and to, be walked through the capabilities and what he can do.
It felt very Terrence Howard archetype. That wasn't me, baby. I'm a different man now. I don't know. At some point, let me ask you, do you genuinely think this Sir Reginald was different to the Umbrella Academy? Or do you think there's some sort of Avatar tentacle tethering?
Nah, fuck that. Avatar tentacles all the way.
Right.
Yeah, he's just playing a game. He's playing 4D chess, mate.
Well, it's also established that he's a fucking alien.
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine you're a pretty shit alien if you don't have extra abilities, is what I'm saying. It was fun, also sad that the bonding happened through constantly killing Klaus. But it was absolutely a moment that he cherished. And I think I might have said it in the other Umbrella Academy episode, but Klaus is absolutely the glue for this family.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I think I'd forgotten Klaus's power when Stan shot him through. I was like, what the fuck?
I was like, of all the characters, Space Boy was right there. Just Game of Thrones him. You'll be fine.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, what's going to happen with this? Surely not.
Game of Thrones trivia. He was a Baratheon?
He was a Tarly, mate.
Yeah, now he's the Samwell Tarly in this show. But again, love and splooshes to Klaus. He continues to be the MVP of this show. Let's talk about Victor, because again, a lot of the through line that we get from the earlier seasons are via Victor and Harlan. Mm-hmm. Did you see that coming? And did you care for that twist?
I'd forgotten. Oh man, it was so long ago since we watched season 2, but I'd forgotten.
But Harlan just felt insignificant. Yeah. Sissy, yes. Like I can get how Sissy might have some sort of importance in the show, but I don't understand how Harlan became such a big. But again, it might be true to the comics, but
because he was brought back to life.
True.
So
Evanescent style?
Yeah. So he had to play a part in this. It was wild that he kept on looking for Victor throughout all this time, or waiting for Victor to show up.
Sad.
It's sad. And he struggled throughout his whole life. And I think the montage of him going from home to home and Sissy losing partner after partner just because of the power that Harlan has.
Yeah.
It was sick, man. I was crying. I was busting a gut.
Yeah. And then, okay, well, we already mentioned spoilers. This is obviously the most juiciest thing to talk about in season 3, because obviously Harlan has a sustained presence in season 3. What did you think about the storyline? And I guess maybe this plays into the grandfather paradox. What did you think about the storyline of Harlan actually hearing, because Harlan is so hyper-focused and so discerning of noises, he could hear the suffering of these suddenly Mary or otherwise pregnant young women, and he was actually trying to help them, albeit destroy them.
You know, the path to hell and all that. So be it his intentions or whatnot, it still happened. And I think the biggest mistake was Victor keeping it to himself.
Yep.
He's had this tendency of always just excluding himself from the family, and just running his own thing, to the point where when Allison gets pissed off, it's understandable. I'm like, bruh, you've literally were about to destroy the world 2 times.
Yeah.
And you're still carrying out here.
It's a melting
in a solo mission.
It's a melting pot of accountability, my love.
Yeah, it is. But
everyone can catch these accountability hands.
Are you putting your tax in? Because I think that he would have been better telling everyone what was going on and trusting them enough to handle that shit. Because Harlan ends up dying anyway.
Okay. I don't think that's necessarily fair, but again, I do have tax, and OT, rightfully, the accountant, pulled me up on my tax. I would point back to the flashback scenes that we experience with Victor, because arguably, no one's arguing, Space Boy is the most useless one out of the 7. I think maybe on the surface, Reginald thought that, Luther would be the one to lead. And then he quickly found out, eject this motherfucker to the space, to the moon, and he can live there. That was so sad. Imagine coming home and looking at all of your records under the floorboards, and he never looked at all of the little moon rocks that you packaged up so nicely.
But thing is, with how season 3 ended, is that maybe he was up there for a purpose because he was protecting something greater.
He was a guardian.
Yup. So maybe, be it the effect of...
Would that take away the sting anymore for you if that happened to you?
Yeah, if I knew I had purpose up there and he just didn't send me up there to be a dick.
Let's go back to Victor for a second. I think there's a lot of context that you're missing here, albeit bringing the world to an apocalypse the first 2 times. I think Victor was used to having to clean up his own messes.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, on another hand, will come to in but a moment. But I think Victor really thought he was doing the right thing. What did you think of the exchange? I think it's particularly a scene that I will always be able to recall in season 3, where 5 was talking to Victor about going rogue, being the lone wolf, doing it all on your own. And that's essentially a villain, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think even 5 pulling up Victor on that, he just got to listen sometimes, because he's got a caring heart. He wants to feel everything. He wants to care, nurture. But bruh.
Well, no, let's also talk about the fact that 5 had a lecture to Victor and Luther had a lecture to Victor, but none of them tried to check Allison. So doesn't that give some sort of credence in Victor's direction or not?
How many times has Allison tried to end the world? I'm waiting. Start counting.
Boo. Okay, well, let's talk about Allison. We don't have time to do forensics on your black tax,
Pass.
but let's... No, but let's talk about Allison. Okay, let's be real about this shit. I'm not saying that the human condition is perfect, but it frustrated me seeing Allison talk about squandered opportunities for relationships with Claire, her daughter, or with Raymond, her husband, in 2 different timelines without acknowledging that she had a hand to play in it.
Yeah.
No, if you want to talk about it, let's fucking talk about it. You went for the Victor jugular. We're going to talk about Allison now, because it was something along the lines of her getting annoyed with her kid, and kids be kidding. That's what they do. They be annoying. That's kind of their modus operandi, So Claire was just being Claire, and I'm pretty sure she was the one that said, "I heard a rumor, you shut the fuck up."
True, but she did leave them for them to be safe.
No, but that happened after. I'm saying let's be accountable for our actions. So, yes, so you acknowledged that Allison just felt like not parenting in a particular parenting moment, correct?
No, I think if you had powers and you're being pushed constantly or annoyed, you might accidentally use it. Not because you're a bad person.
Yeah, see, you would, because you're a weak motherfucker like Huey from The Boys.
Wow.
I wouldn't. You know what? If I wanted you to shut the fuck up, I would just make you shut the fuck up. I wouldn't use a power.
Wow. Putting that chest up, bro.
Well, the chest is what makes you shut the fuck up.
No, it's understandable. It's understandable that she tries to separate herself from the family.
You're so annoying, because this is not the same. This is not the same OT when we were watching.
Yeah, well, I do understand that bit, but what really did get me in this season is her insistence on being angry and just not wanting to see that, hey, it's understandable she's, a kid, partner, whatnot, they disappeared. And it's a whirlwind every single time trying to save the world, which results in shit happening.
Yeah.
That's understandable. That's perfectly understandable. But what I didn't get is her attitude towards the rest of the family. It really isn't their fault. She didn't really try to reach out. She didn't really try to talk to anyone. And I think my sort of straw breaking the camel's back with her came when she was trying to rumor, well, not even trying, she rumored number one.
Yeah.
You know, Moon Boy. I'm like, to what fucking degree is this fucking nonsense gonna go?
That's forcible assault. That's not right.
It wasn't cool, and I think it's totally understandable for number one thinking that, yeah, I can go and be in Sparrow Academy.
But that's what I was talking about at the top of this episode. Like, that is some dark, heavy shit. Like, beyond the giggle gaggling with the ghouls chasing Klaus in the graveyard, this is some heavy fucking shit. This is like some I may destroy you level shit. In an Umbrella Academy show, I don't know about that. You know what it kind of reminds me of? The storyline in Doom Patrol.
Rita?
Oh, I heard Ghislaine Maxwell, but anyway.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's like it was too heavy for the tone of the show because you know why it's too heavy? Because they're never going to fucking address it again.
And they didn't.
But you can't introduce something as problematic, as triggering as that, and then never address it again.
Well, they did Kumbaya at the end, so all's forgiven.
Exactly. Exactly. So they didn't address it at all. That's why I was like, nah, this is too much for this TV show. Because what she did is she willfully controlled the actions of Luther to make herself feel good in that moment. It's disgusting.
And not the make me feel good sort of Billy Bob, Halle Berry, Monsters Ball moment, you know?
When are we going to watch that? I feel like that's your private archives. I would like to watch it with you.
What do you mean, Private Archive? It's not a blue movie.
Well, you seem to be very protective. We haven't watched it together yet.
Yeah.
We're going to have to watch it in 2 separate rooms.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a look about. I'll just have a quick look through alone, and then we can do it together afterwards.
You're going to give me the TV edit?
Yeah.
What a wholesome woman. But again, going back to Allison, I didn't like, because you know what? She was primed for fucking her own life up, you know? Yeah. Give it 2 more seconds and Victor not ending the world. Give it 2 more seconds. Allison would have fucked it up. In many cases, she fucked it up before the world ended.
Man, just because there's no tax at all.
Wow.
No, I felt for her. I think she was really confused in this. And I think it was a really good moment for her to sort of let go of that anger and pain. And Diego
by taking advantage of other bodies. Yeah.
No. I meant more in terms of what Diego did for her.
I love how you're just sliding away because you can't defend this storyline.
I'm not going to defend it because there's nothing to defend.
You know why? Because Luther was defenseless. That's why.
Wow.
It's gross. No, you need to keep the same energy for all genders. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and I did. I said it was disgusting, and just like the TV show, I'm moving on.
Well, true to form, that is correct. Let's talk about Diego. Diego became a fave of mine. He kind of didn't really offer anything more than surface level in the first 2 seasons of this show, but he really came into his own in season 3. I thoroughly enjoyed Diego.
I think what made Diego shine so much in season 3 was Stan. Yeah. And the interaction between him and Stan and getting to know Diego in a more personal level. He's always had feels. He has this sort of macho exterior, but
we saw his mummy issues.
Yeah, he's the most feely person in this show.
Feely mamas.
Yeah, and I think just seeing that sort of back and forth with Stan and him trying to care and him realizing, you know, it's like seeing him fucking grow.
Yeah.
And wow, I was there for that. It was enjoyable. Like his power, I'm not a biggest fan of.
It's kind of like stock standard, like base starter level kit.
Yeah. Like something my dad would have, you know, just...
Wow. Really? Wow, okay.
But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this season for him. I think it's his biggest. I think seeing him in a relationship with Lila as well, and him being vulnerable enough to admit that he loves Lila and there is a future there. well, he wasn't really shying away from all that. It was more seeing those two come together. That was really beautiful. Even when Lila was breaking down because, well, she's been through such fucked up back history.
Yeah.
Seeing her break down and coming to Diego just because realizing that, mate, what the fuck? What am I gonna lose?
Friends and lovers, we said it not many episodes ago. When they talk about interracial love, it's not just someone plus white.
Facts.
What do you think about Diego and Lila? Do you think they were a good sort of coupling? To me, they felt very randomly pieced together.
No, I think they were a really good couple. I don't appreciate the Lila 5 shit that goes on.
Yeah, especially because 5, like, the actor.
Yeah, he's like 1,000 years old, all his fucking brain, but Jesus Christ, he's in a 10-year-old's body, mate.
Yeah, and Aiden is quite young. And I guess, friends and lovers, if you don't have a problem with 5 and Lila, then stay the fuck away from our anime.
Wow.
Raftalia, who?
Take Raftalia's name out of your goddamn mouth.
Oh, so it's okay to reference Will Smith but not endorse him. Okay, OT.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't buy it. I don't buy Lila and Diego. Not that I'm like covering Lila's face and I'm jealous. I'm just saying, like, I don't buy their particular love story. I got a bit annoyed at the dumping of Stan. Even when we found out that it wasn't even like their kid, I was a bit, feels has the residue of Maury Povich and Jerry Springer. It's got some residue there.
Wow. But she was pregnant, she deals with emotions.
Yeah, but don't trick someone into taking care of you.
Well, world has a lot of people tricking each other.
Don't trick someone into buying McDonald's for all of your kids, even though you're the only baby father to one.
Oh, baby father, eh?
I don't like testing your love for someone. I don't like that generally.
Yeah, I understand that. But then again, it's Lala. She's dysfunctional at best. So... Well, they've set up the character. You have to go by what you'd expect from them and not what you'd want.
Man, Riz Ahmed had more growth in his Sound of Metal.
Wow. Did he though?
I'm saying, by comparison. Absolutely. Who haven't we talked about in the 7? We haven't talked about 5 so much. Thoughts?
He wasn't such a big part of this season.
But I've missed him. Like, I've missed the dynamic whenever he's in the scenes.
Yeah, he definitely steals the scene whenever he's in it. So we really got a lot of 5 in the first 2 seasons, and we did get to understand his background and everything he's gone through. Mm-hmm. So I was happy for him to take a sort of back seat in this a bit.
Yeah.
So that we could get more from Klaus, Diego, and to some extent even bloody Allison and Victor.
Could have used less Allison, but anyway. I get you. I feel you. And 5 still played an important role in season 3. But you're right. We got a lot more like space to shine. Speaking of shine, let's talk about Ben. Thoughts about Ben?
Ben from Filmbusters. Where do we start?
We fucking love Ben from Filmbusters. I'm talking about Ben from Sparrow or Umbrella Academy. Take your pick.
Yeah, I couldn't buy him being a dickhead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Justin H. Min is such a beautiful, wonderful man. There's no way that I could buy that he's an asshole. And again, friends and lovers, it has nothing to do with acting ability. I don't know. I've never really seen Keanu Reeves play an asshole character, but I imagine I wouldn't buy that either.
No, it wasn't more that his acting is bad. Nah. He just looks fucking adorable, like me.
He looks really sweet, right?
Yeah. No, it wasn't more acting ability. He's a great actor. It's just, are you sure that's how you want to be?
Yeah.
I did enjoy, well, he did show his sensitive side towards the end where he felt a bit,
where he got blackout drunk.
Yeah. Why am I left out? Why did you leave me out on the bachelor's party?
I just want to lay more love for Justin H. Min. I've never had any desire. You know, when you watch American films and they like do the popcorn string on the Christmas tree, I've never had a desire to do that, but I feel like I could wear some Christmas sweaters and do that with Justin H. Min and Justin H. Min only.
Oh, good. I thought that was gonna go way darker.
I'm a wholesome gal. How dare you? Just ignore every other sexual thing I say. That was something very wholesome.
I thought we'd have a segment in Discovery ID, mate.
No, I can be wholesome. I can surprise you from time to time. All right, let's do a rapid fire round. I just want to lay some love and splooshes to Alfonso. At first, I was like, I don't understand what he does. And when we first saw the capability of his powers and his skill, I was like, I fucking want that.
Wow.
Well, it's the less toxic way of absorbing someone else's pain and redirecting it.
Yeah, he had a cool trick there, but he died quite quickly.
To be fair, they picked them all off quite easy. I'm surprised Faye lasted as long as she did.
Yeah, Faye's ability was quite cool until you realize that if you just catch a bat and start choking it, she gets affected.
It's her bunkai. Friends and lovers, go and watch Bleach. It's coming out near the end of the year, so maybe
I can't wait.
Yeah.
If you're not watching anime, start with fucking Bleach right now, so that by the time it comes out in October, you're all caught up and you can have some really good time with it.
Absolutely.
Rokia!
Renji! I think it's wild we only have 2 anime reviews on this podcast, OT.
Yeah, it's sad, and Bleach is in one of them, but we're planning something very special once Bleach comes out in October.
Are we going to get a cosplay edition?
We're going to get a cosplay. We're going to get everything in there.
Wow. Bunkai. Well, you said you love Sloane. Why do you love her so much?
Just because she's cool people. She knows that my family ain't shit.
Okay.
And seeks to have happiness outside of it. You know, sometimes we all feel trapped within a certain group and you feel you can't live because of obligation, but, you know, it takes someone brave to try and start pushing that boundary, and that's Sloane.
Yeah.
So I'd back that up all the time.
The Vin Diesel family?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't really think much of Sloane. It was made very clear that she would be the love interest for Luther, so it was clear that she would stick around. I don't care for the wedding, by the way. I'm all for dancing, you know, while the Titanic is sinking. Like, I'm all for keeping jovial spirits, but I'm like, you two motherfuckers found a way to make this shit about yourselves.
And why not? The world's fucking ending. Why not?
Why not just have a party and celebrate everybody else? Why does it have to be about your union of love? Fuck off.
Hey, who hurt you?
The bitterness is what keeps it spicy, friends and lovers.
Wow. No, I appreciated it. Like, why not? Let love win. It was sad that Luther had to go.
But do you think he's genuinely gone? If we have Klaus that is able to come back from the afterlife, I'm pretty sure he'll find a way.
Well, they all came back at the end without powers, so I guess they're rewriting everything, and we'll see how that goes in season 4.
Well, that's a perfect way to finish the discussion point. What do you feel about that? Because there's a lot of, and we also hear Kamiko talk about it, well, you know, sign about it in The Boys, that they wish that they didn't have these powers. They wish these powers would go away and they could live a normal life. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think they're starting to realize that they didn't genuinely mean it?
They never do. You only hate it because you have it. But once it's gone and become one of the normal bloody plebs,
yeah,
nah.
But can I just say, when they were testing their powers, like 5, for example, I'm pretty sure Diego should still have that combative skills. Like, what's no. Let's talk about it. Like Victor, yeah, I get it, right? 5, yeah, I get it. Allison, yeah, I get it. You fucking throw knives for a living. Like, why? At some point, it's like involuntary muscle memory. How the fuck did you lose it?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
You're ridiculous.
But am I wrong?
Nah. You should be able to fucking throw a knife after how many years of doing it.
You call that a throwing knife? Ooh. Thank you, friends and lovers, for joining us in the alternate timeline. We're going to finish off in a segment we call For Your Reference. OT.
I'm going to reference Doom Patrol.
Woo-hoo.
If you want to get deeper, darker, it's the one to watch.
Well, I'm going to one-up ya. Peacemaker.
Oh, shit snacks, yeah?
Yeah, if you'd like to see the red, white, and blue shit snacks on Twitter and Instagram, we're at For Your Ref Pod.
Write us an email at hello@forpodcast.com.
We're also on I Heard a Rumor, She's an Incel podcast. if you'd like to leave a rating and review. And we'll see you guys next week.
Simps Unite!
Bye.